Welcome to What's in a Game. On today's show, we get our first glimpse of the new look Nuggets. Do we like what we see? We're breaking down the first two preseason games against the Wolves and Raptors and delineating fact from fiction. What from preseason is actually going to carry over into the regular season and playoffs? Stay tuned. Welcome back to What's in a Game. I'm Grace Jean here with my co-host Will Jones. How are you doing today, Will, on this fine, although kind of rainy here, surprisingly, in California, Thursday afternoon?
Yeah, it's been rainy in Denver too, but I'm doing great because the Nuggets are back, and it's been fun to watch actual basketball instead of theorizing about it, and it's fun seeing what's actually coming to fruition as much as, preseason's hard to read, but maybe you can get excited for some things. Maybe you can be concerned for some things, as I saw some of your posting, and I feel like I'm much more like optimistic and positive about what I'm seeing than maybe you are. So this could be an interesting breakdown.
I don't know why people think I'm not optimistic.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, I've definitely had my concerns with some of the stuff I've seen in the first couple of games. It's more like, we'll get to it, but a lot of it is stuff that's not based on the first two games, but like things we thought were going to be better and haven't yet shown themselves to be better from last year, for example. But we'll get to all that. Please do us a favor, hit the like and subscribe buttons. Really helps us out with the algorithm as we try to grow the channel. Let's get into a couple of news items before we jump into talking about some actual basketball games. This is a story that dropped it was yesterday or the day before. Giannis Antetokounmpo is apparently interested.
I didn't know you.
Oh yeah, I added this one right before the show. Sorry about that, Will.
Okay.
Giannis is apparently interested in going to the New York Knicks, but the exact verbiage from the Shams post was that the Knicks are the only other team that Giannis expressed interest in going to if he wasn't staying on Milwaukee, which is interesting. There was also, elaborating on that report that the Bucks had discussed a potential trade for some window of time. And when I say potential, like it seems like things were very far apart. Like it didn't go very far along those talks, but they were being discussed for, quote, a window of time, which is strange verbiage, but he used it in the Twitter post. He used it in the article that accompanied said post. And so that came out. Then I think within the hour, there was there were other reports separate from Shams coming out about how Giannis's family, in particular his wife and children, were like given the option of staying in Milwaukee or moving to Greece, and they moved to Greece. So that's tough, because when I read, like, you hear the first report and you're like, okay, well, Giannis has been making all kinds of like subtle noise about maybe wanting to leave Milwaukee for years now, and yet still hasn't done it. And we talked before the end of last season, after the Dame injury in particular, that like, hey, if Giannis is ever going to have like the best possible timing in terms of like an excuse that like literally no one could blame him for going, it was going to be this summer. And if he didn't do it this summer, like it didn't really make sense to me that he would do it later. He ends up staying on Milwaukee, at least till this point. Season hasn't started yet, but it seems like he's going to be rolling with the Bucks into the season. But then to find out that his wife and children, given that Giannis is such a big family guy, are not living in Milwaukee, it sounds like they don't want to live in Milwaukee. I don't know. I'm not trying to insinuate anything about like the family dynamics. I don't know anything about that. There haven't been any reports that there's any kind of like particular discord. Everything was worded as if it was like a living in Milwaukee or living in Greece. The other thing is, obviously in Greece, they get to be closer to like extended family and all those kinds of things. But it seems like at least you don't have a situation where, well, maybe Giannis is thinking about stay in Milwaukee, don't stay in Milwaukee, go somewhere more competitive, whatever. And his family loves where they're at because they've been there forever and whatever. You don't have that. So my reaction to that report about his family was like, oh, the Bucks are screwed. Like, they don't have something else anchoring Giannis to Milwaukee now. And that plus like the years of like subtle hints about I'm going to watch and see what the organization is going to do. Like, I want us to be competitive. I want to be in a competitive situation, blah, blah, blah. Plus the like reality of the Bucks situation here just has me thinking like Giannis's days are numbered. To a point where I think I'd be surprised if Giannis was still on the Bucks by the open of free agency next summer.
So does that mean you think he would be traded before then, or like at the deadline kind of a thing, even this
at the
season?
deadline or next summer? Like, it might be a situation where like they want to trade him at the deadline, that they come up with a team that makes sense and all that, but it's hard to get a deal together because of contract situations and cap situations because of all the new rules. Not just with the Bucks, but with the whoever the receiving the Giannis receiving team is, and whoever the other potential trade partners would need to be, just gets too complicated at the deadline. And so they might end up doing it after the season. But I think it's really tough to ask a guy to be anchored to a franchise that is both not competitive and his family is not there.
Yeah.
And that's not to say, because again, I'm not insinuating anything about Giannis's family, internal family dynamics in that situation or whatever. I don't know, but it seems like the implication from the reports about his family moving to Athens over Milwaukee is to say that, well, if Giannis worked somewhere else full time, they would be fine being there. And maybe that place is New York City.
Yeah. I was happy to hear that it was only the Knicks and not anyone that would be scarier, like in the West.
The West, yeah.
Because that's the only concern. And I did see some stupid odds about how maybe the Warriors were placed above the Nuggets in this odds that somebody posted. I didn't look that deep into it. I just kind of saw it briefly, but it was like Thunder at the top, then Warriors, then Nuggets to win the West. And
it was like the ESPN win totals.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. And they had the Warriors at like 56 games. I'm like, dude, what? That's crazy.
Yeah, and someone suggested maybe it's because they're expecting Giannis to join the Warriors at some point this season, which I really hope that's not what it is.
Actually, that would make more sense. That would make substantially more sense, given that like 80% of their starting lineup is currently over the age of 35. Giannis going over there would bring that down a little bit, at least.
Yes, and
give them probably like
definitely scary,
the best player on the team. Kind of
but they have to trade. Who the hell could they even trade?
I don't know. So here's the other thing. You say you're not worried because it's the Knicks. The problem with the Knicks is that they gave away anything that the Milwaukee would be interested in a package like this, which is like good young players, which they gave up in the OG Anunoby deal. I mean, like, theoretical. I don't even know if Milwaukee would be interested in RJ Barrett or Emmanuel Quickley, but those guys are gone. Quentin Grimes also. Draft capital. They gave up 5 first-round picks to trade for Mikal Bridges. And they also traded like short-term contracts. I don't think a team like Milwaukee is interested in cap space anyway, but if they were, like, Julius Randle's deal would have been interesting to them, like a year ago, obviously, because now he's been extended with the Timberwolves. So it's like, yeah, Giannis is interested in the Knicks, but the Knicks have literally nothing that Milwaukee should be interested in as a team that is about to trade their, like, best franchise player ever since Kareem.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Giannis is trying to execute like the most subtle, passive aggressive.
It's like it's really like annoying at this point, to be honest. Were you the one? I'm gonna blow up our offline conversation for a second, but were you the one that told me like he's just doing exactly what Dame did? It's funny that they played together. Well, somebody told me.
I don't think that was me, no. But yeah, that is funny though. Like, learn from Dame. Yeah.
Dame wasn't this like annoying about it either, to be honest. Dame was just like, I'm gonna be here, right? And it seemed like eventually he was just like, okay, fine. Everybody keeps telling me I should leave, so I'll leave, whatever. And then that didn't work out for him, and now he's back over there. Not to say that same thing would happen to Giannis. But yeah, this is one of the more annoying, like, ongoing, like, not disgruntled star, because like trying not to seem like a disgruntled star.
It's just like the writing on the wall of someone who's as good as Giannis in a team that is mediocre as the Bucks. And usually that leads to a breakup of sorts. And the only reason I say it's subtle is it's subtle in comparison to the not so subtle movements of like James Harden, or people just asking, or like AD just like demanding, this is where I want to go. That's what I'm more used to. But I get that Giannis is afraid to demand a trade and look like the bad guy. So he's trying to do it in these other ways by, like, there's some reports that leak that maybe he'd be open to it, but then he says that's not true and then gives a statement about how he wants to be with the Bucks. But then another report comes out like this. So it just seems like they're leaking little things here and there.
He puts out a statement that says, well, that's not true, that I'd be interested in. It's like, he actually is like, yeah, I might want to stay here now, but I could also change my mind later.
Yeah.
And that's very human. And I'm like, I mean, yes, but like, do you want to be here or not, kind of thing. It's not a great vibe for the team, which, if you're already 1 foot out the door, then you don't care if you're Giannis, right? But then if you are, then just like ask out, dude. They're not going to trade you without you asking out. John Horst has done everything in his power to try to keep Giannis here. They have Damian Lillard's waived and stretched contract on the books for the next 5 years, like $22 million a year, 20 million maybe for the next 5 years, just dead cap space, because they were like, we got to just like we have to figure out a way to be able to do stuff this summer to try to do something with this roster for Giannis. And that's not to say that means that Giannis owes John or the Bucks anything in that regard, but that's to give you the mindset of that organization that's just like, the writing's been on the wall for years and they're still like, we are clinging on, holding for dear life to this relationship, and it's going to take Giannis like he's got to be the one to initiate that, because they're not going to. They're literally mortgaging the next 5 years of their ability to do anything just to try to keep Giannis now. Like, so they're not going to be the ones to try to move him.
Yeah, they made some aggressive swings to try to prove to him that they're doing everything they can, including the Dame and Miles Turner moves that are, Dame obviously didn't work out. He's not even there anymore. And I doubt Miles Turner is going to be the thing that gives them another championship. So, yeah, Giannis is trying to like incept them by making it seem like it's their own idea to trade him. But I don't know. It's like a game of chicken.
It is.
With them,
it really is. It really is a game of chicken. And, eventually, if Giannis, I said this, like I said, at the beginning of the summer or right before the offseason started. If Giannis is still on the Bucks at the end of this summer, I think he's probably just going to retire a Buck. But now I'm like, okay, no, maybe it'll just be like a year down the line. If Giannis doesn't get traded next summer, he has to retire in Milwaukee. Like, I'm just going to put that out there right now. I'm going to say he has to. I'm going to say he's not allowed to say anything else for the rest of his career over there.
You are sentenced to retire.
Yes, it's like, you need to like ask out or shut up. Literally. Yeah. Speaking of passive aggressive superstars, our next news item here is about LeBron James and a potential not really retirement announcement that some people thought was going to happen this week. Well, if you could bring up the original post from LeBron, he posted this on, I think, Monday. The decision of all decisions, October 7th, 12 p.m. Eastern, hashtag the second decision, which was like, okay. And I'm like, I don't recognize the dude that he's supposed to be sitting down with in this interview. And there was no advertisement of where this was supposed to be. So I was like, is this supposed to be ESPN? Is it supposed to be Amazon? Like, I had no idea because there was no indication. Turns out it was an ad for Hennessy, and the choice was like a particular brand of Hennessy that he decides to drink. And a lot of people thought this was like, oh, this is going to be a retirement announcement. That's like the obvious thing. If this was not LeBron James and this came out for a guy who's got a storied 20-year career and we're headed into the season and you're like, okay, we're approaching the time when, past a certain date, it doesn't make sense to announce retirement in a service of getting a retirement tour because you want people to know for the whole season that like this is it, right? So after this post, apparently ticket prices spiked for Lakers games throughout the season, but in particular the very last Lakers home game of the season against the Utah Jazz, where the cheapest tickets spiked, according to ESPN, from $82 to almost $600 per seat. And so that was the reaction to LeBron potentially retiring, and now a bunch of people are pissed off because they're like, why did I buy these Utah Jazz tickets? Someone filed a lawsuit against LeBron for this, but it's not going to
already.
That's not going to hold up.
I can't decide. It's either dirty of him to do this or it was genius because everyone was paying attention and he's trying to market himself.
I can't call it genius if I don't know how much he was getting paid for the sponsorship.
Why? Because I
want to know how much. If he made that much money, then it's like, yeah, it was genius. If it wasn't that, then it's just like this just like annoyed a bunch of people. Like, I knew he got paid for it, but like you better made a real chunk of change for this.
Yeah, especially for him to like, he can only use this once in his career. So you better choose the right moment. And that probably wasn't the right moment, especially to like double use his retirement anticipated announcement that was already rumored.
Right.
So I can't believe he was convinced to do that. But I also think it would be lame to announce his retirement in the same way as the decision, but whatever. That's up to him to decide. How he wants
lame,
to do.
but how do you what is the not lame way for LeBron to announce his retirement?
Just be sincere about it and just be like, I'm retiring, and don't do a little gimmick like the decision too.
You want it to be a Twitter post?
No, I don't know. I don't know how he would do it. What is it? Because a press conference feels too crazy. Maybe just post a video.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like an Instagram video.
Yeah, and just be like, this is my last season. Everyone come out for the LeBron tour. Just be honest about what you want.
Asking LeBron James to be earnest. But
the fact that it's not come yet, do you think it's going to happen or not? Because I feel like it's getting close.
He's going to retire.
It's still preseason.
Well, he's not going to retire this season now. Like, no, he's not going to. He's not going to do it after doing that. Like, it's going to be. He's going to have at least another year after this. Who knows what that next contract's going to look like, right? Because he has not been extended by the Lakers, so he does only have 1 year left on his current contract. Yeah. So I don't think he's retiring after this year, because I think LeBron wants a retirement tour. Like, there's no question in my mind about that. And so he would announce it at least the summer before, ahead of time.
Yeah, because either it's going to be right as the season starts.
Yeah.
Or because it's still preseason. So I thought there was a chance he could still do it, but it seems maybe unlikely. I don't know.
When I saw the post, I was like, oh, I guess Will was right. There was still a chance. I think he would announce it a little bit earlier in the summer, because it could be like a story for the entire summer, and then the season starts and he gets the whole retirement tour thing. That seems like the way that it would go. Maybe he would plan it out. Maybe he would plan it out for this whole upcoming season. Like, this whole season he's planning to retire after next season. then announces it at his exit interview in a very planned way. Like he plans out exactly what he's going to say and how at the exit interviews for the Lakers this year. Starts a frenzy. It's the conversation the entire summer, not only because he's retiring, but because it's like LeBron James is retiring. He's only going to have one more year left in the NBA. Which NBA franchise is going to be the one to sign LeBron for his last year? It becomes a whole separate circus, like separate from the rest of the NBA offseason, right? I could see that happening.
He should just finish his contract, go to the Cavs for like a very cheap deal, one last season, do their retirement tour with them. They're a good team. They could possibly win the championship, push for that, and then retire.
I don't think he wants to be away from his family.
Well, they have another house and they have stuff in Cleveland.
I don't think Savannah's moving back to Ohio for a year.
I don't know. I don't know how much she likes it there or what kind of people she has or not.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
I do think that there was a little bit of like, when I say some people, like there were a lot of people that believed that this was going to be a retirement announcement. I also saw a lot of people saying like, this is going to be an ad. Like they didn't believe it. And they were right. Those people were absolutely correct. But I also think that there was like a little bit of, even when we get the real one, part of it is going to be like, this is LeCap. We can't trust it. It'll be like the Boy Who Cried Wolf kind of situation, just like this one, not just because this was like a fake retirement in particular announcement, but because it's LeBron and nobody like believes LeBron is ever like sincere about this stuff. But I think there was another piece where there were people that like, I don't think people wanted to believe that LeBron was actually retiring, right? Even his haters. Because
even the haters,
maybe especially the haters, because without him, I mean, I'm sure they'd find something else to hate on. But it's one of those things where he's been a fixture in the NBA, in the sports landscape for over 20 years now, and you're just kind of used to having him there. So like the thought of him not being there feels a little off. Like, nah, like I can't even picture it, so I don't believe it kind of thing. And I think that like when it actually happens, it's going to hit people maybe like differently or harder than even they think that it will. Because there is a weight to that, just because like, I mean, he's still the face of the NBA. Like he still is.
Yeah, it's weird. He's just so big in terms of his persona and brand and history with the NBA that even if there's like the like new best player face of the NBA, like Shea or Luka, because everyone's decided it can't be Jokic, even if it's self-imposed upon himself. And then there's like Steph and LeBron, who are like the classic faces. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have mixed feelings about LeBron retiring, so I won't get into it.
I don't want LeBron to retire, because if he does, then the Lakers will have more cap space to bring in other dudes to put around Luka.
That's true. He does hold back the Luka timeline.
I like the clunkiness that LeBron next to Luka brings a little bit.
Yeah,
for our sake.
That is 100% accurate. And is part of the reason why I also don't want him to retire, as much as I do like appreciate and respect LeBron as well. And I do think it would be weird if he retired. Like it would just be strange for the NBA. But at the same time, I'm kind of annoyed with his decisions and just like not demanding to be traded from the Lakers and going to a better place. And him just going to the Lakers in general has been annoying. So if he retired, some of that would come to an end and I don't have to watch him like pretend like he's the best player and thinking he's going to win the finals every year. Not that he necessarily does that, but whatever, you get what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's a complicated legacy for a lot of people, for sure. Yeah. Oh, related to this, by the way, LeBron, this dropped literally as we were prepping right before the stream started, that LeBron is going to be missing the start of the season due to sciatica.
He's already hurt.
Um,
Sciatica's weird.
Yeah,
That's a hard one to like eliminate.
It's like a thing you just manage for. You gotta bring it down and then you manage it. I've had it before. It's a literal pain in the ass.
Yeah, nerve pain.
Yeah, so you're gonna be careful with him even after he comes back, which is definitely something to monitor for the Lakers as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are getting comments about how the Nuggets defense is not good, and everyone wants to talk about the Nuggets, so we should start getting into that.
Jokic should play the 4, and we should get a 5. All right, loopy balls. If you've got one in mind that can play next to Jokic.
What's wrong with AG playing the 4?
They want Jokic to play the 4 so that we can get a rim protecting.
Rim protection's still overrated in my opinion, but whatever.
It's not when you don't have it.
Well, I mean, we didn't have it when we won the championship.
We had good point of attack when we won the championship.
Yeah, see, but that's what I'm saying is that's what's more important than rim, like focusing on your defense rim protection. Anyway, he brought that up too.
Let's get into it then. Let's start with Nuggets Wolves because this was definitely the ugly first preseason game. The Nuggets lost this game 100 and lots of points to 100 and fewer points against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I want to start by talking about the offense because that was a little bit more pleasant. And I've been accused of being a doomer. But actually, when I made my notes on this, the offense was a lot of what I noticed first. My first note offensively was about Cam Johnson because he's definitely, as you know, the newest member of the starting lineup, going to be somebody that I'm watching a lot to see how he's integrating into the team and all of that.
Yeah.
But something that stood out because the starters only played the first half in that game is every single person on the starting lineup initiated at least 2 times. I want to say it was at least 3 times, but I can only remember 2 instances for Christian. Like ball in their hands, they're the one either bringing the ball up, creating the initial advantage, or running a DHO with Jokic, except for Cam Johnson, who only initiated offense once. And it was actually pretty good. So, Will, if you could bring up that Cam pick and roll clip here. Okay, so just gets the handoff from Jokic. He's got, who is that on him? Is that Jaden?
Yeah.
Everyone's hair is totally different. Yeah. I'm like, he looks like, oh God, he looks like somebody else whose name I can't remember. Anyway, it's fine. So he gets downhill on Jaden, draws the help from Rudy.
Almost putting him in jail a little bit on the hip.
Yeah. That's how he's able to come off the screen, get Jaden on his hip, and gets the ball back to Jokic for a little pick and pop midi, which was nice. I was like, oh, okay, I saw this in real time. Like, this is nice. Like, this is something that you don't get if that's MPJ. Like that possession would just be a completely different possession if that were MPJ. But it was the only time the Cam initiated in this game. So I was like, oh, when we get to the Raptors game, we'll see a lot more reps. But that was definitely something that I was like, why aren't we seeing more of this in the first game? But, like we said, Cam is being integrated into the team, into the offense, learning all of the things. And it seems like in that very first game, everyone else looked super comfortable too. Like Christian looked comfortable operating off the DHO. Aaron was like, we're going to talk about him and his jumper and him operating with Jokic. Jamal, obviously very comfortable. And Jokic even had a few on-ball pick and roll reps himself with Christian, Cam, and Jamal, and Aaron, everyone else all screening for him. And everything looked really smooth. So that's my like overall note on the offense. And then, we got like a sprinkle of Cam in that first game. Any comment on that first little piece there?
Yeah, no, I mean, Cam was my number one priority of what I was most interested in. And
so in that first game, you're like, there's not a lot here for him. Yeah,
definitely. And it wasn't surprising because it's his first action against other NBA players with the Nuggets specifically. So while I wish I would have seen more initiation from him on the offense and would love to have more examples, like I have to settle for just kind of seeing some flashes. And what I kind of defaulted to without having enough examples is just that he did look super comfortable when he did have the ball. And there's another example like we can show in the Raptors game for sure. And it just made me think of the possibilities of, like we were saying in the playoffs, and like you had been hammering home in the playoffs, where, you know, Jokic is being hounded and Jamal's being taken out of plays for whatever reason. Like, I hope that doesn't happen this time because he's in better shape and hopefully he's healthy. But if you have that third player to just get downhill and can at least dribble, and like Cam looks so comfortable dribbling, even from just the little bit that I saw in these games. And that's got me really hyped right now.
And you love that like going back to that point that I was talking about during the playoffs, is like, it's great when your best players get to be play finishers some of the time, where they don't always have to be creating the advantage. And that pick and roll rep right there was like, okay, Cam creates the advantage, gets Rudy out of the way, gives Jokic the ball. Jokic gets to shoot a little midi in the lane, and you know, he makes it because he's Jokic, but he doesn't have to create everything on that possession either. Obviously, he's involved in the creation with, you know, creating like setting the screen off the handoff and knowing all those angles and all of that stuff as well. But it's not, there isn't as much responsibility on that initial part of the play. So you make the job of your best players easier so that they can give you even more good stuff from them, right?
Yeah. Like, just real quick, I'll just go to this now since I don't want to get necessarily off topic, but Cam against the Raptors, I'll just show this. It was just a quick drive, like easy drive by his man all the way to the basket.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
And I think he didn't even pump fake, but the defender jumped up in the air like he was either going to pass to Jokic or and then so that was kind of a mistake on the defender. But
I do love this though, because they are playing for the pass to Jokic. And there are so many times, particularly last season, when you've got, and you saw it a lot in this Raptors game too, honestly, where they're fronting the hell out of Jokic. And then there's this wide open lane available to the ball handler. And our players were either not recognizing that space available to them, or not, they didn't have the ability to attack that space. And Cam did both. He recognized it and was able to attack it. And that's part of how you attack the way that teams guard Jokic, which is like keeping him from getting the ball in the first place. They have to do all kinds of crazy, they have to distort themselves in crazy ways in order to do that. And it creates a lot of opportunities for guys if they're able to both recognize them and capitalize on them. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think if there is a wide open lane, which usually doesn't happen a lot with the Nuggets because they're loading up over to Jokic or they're letting shooters be open on the 3-point line. But like anytime Cam has an opportunity to drive, like I hope he utilizes it. And I feel like there could be some games where could be our leading scorer in a specific game just because, you know, he is the third best defender on him and maybe a weaker wing defender on him because it's just like not as good of a matchup. And he could really pop off. So I want him to be aggressive when he can.
Since we'll just stay on the Cam topic too, because I only had one other specific clip, and I had it in the Raptors section, but it was from the Wolves game, the connective passing. And this was also an extension of Cam's cutting, this particular possession here. Yes. Connective passer is, I think, the label.
Bring it up.
So goes in for the handoff, realizes like I've got the back cut open, and he got a bunch of back cuts in this game and either got the layup or made a pass out of it. This was, I think, the best example because you get one of these where like four guys touch the ball in the possession.
Instantly sees the defenders overplaying it and just makes the smart back cut. and just a
Gets it,
quick
sees
read.
that he's collapsed it, and immediately gets the ball out.
Quick read, quick pass. Thankfully, CB hit that shot.
Could you rewind just a little bit on that very last? I just want to see where Cam was looking when he passed there. So he's looking, I think he checks the corner, and that's why Bones immediately is like kind of shifted, like tilted in Christian's direction a little bit. And then the ball ends up getting whipped to Jamal.
I think he does
look
over
at Christian. Yeah.
He looks at Christian and then kind of looks at Jamal. But it was like a pretty accurate pass. It was a fast pass. Yeah. And I pointed that out, when that happened during the game. It was very exciting to see because I'm like, I haven't seen Mike do that.
Yeah.
So.
And I said, I agree with you that I wouldn't be surprised if Cam had, several games this season where he does lead the team in scoring. But I would be honestly more surprised at this point, particularly after seeing even just the first 2 preseason games, if Cam doesn't average well over 2 assists per game, like closer to 3, which is like way above FPJ's like record.
Yeah.
Just because of the being able to stay within the flow and keeping continuity in the offense on these types of possessions, as long as guys hit their shots. And like he wouldn't have gotten credit for an assist on that one, but that was a hockey assist. But there were other instances as well. All right, let's go back to a bit of the Wolves game. I was loving the way that Aaron's jumper looked in this game. It was just so pure. And he got to it in such a variety of ways. It wasn't just the 3-point shot, but also the midi. If you could bring up the ISO possession, I think he got like DiVincenzo on him for this one.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. DiVincenzo, ISO backs him down, gets to the little turnaround. Very smooth, swished here. And the Timberwolves are just kind of like zoning up on this possession. This was just like okay, Aaron, go do your thing kind of possession. I think Jokic had just thrown him the ball here. So he's like, well, I see you've got DiVincenzo on you, so I'm just going to let you cook. Jokic motions to get the ball back because Zet Nas gets in Aaron's driving lane. Aaron's like, you know what? I got this. And then swishes. There's another ISO possession. If you could bring that one up as well. And this was just to highlight the different parts of the court that he is.
Are you for AG?
ISO 2. Yeah.
Let me see. I might have to grab that one really quick.
Okay.
I got it right here.
Yeah, so just that one was just another ISO possession. Who is this on him? Is that Dillingham? And AG's just like kind of messing around with them here at this point in the game. So Jokic they just kind of clear out and let him do whatever. The team's like, Aaron can take whatever shots he wants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the Nuggets to be down in this moment and kind of just not putting up the greatest of efforts.
No.
Versus the Wolves when we started out this game. Not. Yeah, I mean, you know me, I love offense more than defense. Like, sorry, folks. I get that defense is really important, but and when defense is good, obviously you appreciate it. But I love watching Jokic for the offensive masterclass of the Nuggets. But just the fact that AG's stroke looked good, the touch was there, the shot was still there, especially with like these middies that are pretty difficult and they were pretty far away and not like necessarily the greatest shot you want.
They were like, 12 plus feet out.
Yeah, definitely not the greatest shots ever, but he hit them. So, I mean, the AG middies are like the shots where Nuggets fans like are yelling no at the screen. Like they don't want that.
Now I'm just like, I guess AG just gets to take whatever shots he wants. That's just like how the team's operating with him now. Yeah. But the point of those 2 clips and then the next one is just to say that like the jumper looks very comfortable. If you could go to the movement, now he's not running off of screens, but it's literally just a little. I think he's the one who gave up the ball. Then he just relocates, makes sure his feet are behind the line, and then sets his feet. fires. He's like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm doing here. He had space. He could have attacked, whatever, but he was like, nope, I want to take this 3. And yep, he took it.
And Ingles, what are you thinking, man?
Yeah.
Soft closing out on AG. Don't disrespect Mr. Nugget like that. Come on.
I bet that's the one where he just went right down and hit a corner 3 in Christian's face the very next possession. A note about how teams might be guarding the offense a little bit differently this year, or things that I'm starting to or trying to pay attention to what other teams are doing differently, is the switch possession that Minnesota had on the very last possession of the half. So it's Jamal and Jokic 2-man game, and I'll let you just bring that one up. Jamal ends up missing what I think is a pretty good look here, but I wanted to note how Denver happened to attack this. Makes sense. This is what Denver does too. Near the end of late clock situation, they're switching these types of actions, even 1 and 5. And I'm trying to see. I have to move my little video. There's 6 seconds left on the clock at this point, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna that's a lot of time actually. Like, Jamal probably could have gotten downhill on this guy, whatever, but he's like, okay, what's happening now? I have this guy on me. He has no foot speed, so he created a ton of separation there, gets the shot off. It just rims out. And that's the end of the half. But I think with more time on the clock, the reason that Denver doesn't get the ball to Jokic there, like Jamal does get the ball to Jokic there, because usually on a 1-5 switch, you're just like, okay, Jamal, give Jokic the ball and he'll, cook the smaller player there. But Jamal ends up doing his thing and taking that shot because there wasn't a ton of time left. There was enough, but not enough by the time that Jokic got a pass, to get a passing angle available to him there. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought that was interesting. Obviously, Minnesota wasn't playing any of their dudes. But yeah, I thought that Jamal had a good 3-point trigger in both of these games, honestly. He only took 3 threes in the half because they only played a half, but he also wasn't a high volume shooter in this game period. But I thought it was a big I think he's shooting almost 56% of his shots are coming from 3 in the preseason right now. I don't know if that sustains, if his shot volume goes up. But it's good to see that he seems to be shot ready on these 3-point shots in particular.
Yeah, and Jamal loves doing that kind of thing, like a step back versus a bigger slow-footed player. He goes to that a lot rather than just driving by them.
Yeah.
And it's preseason, and his shot, I mean, we haven't gotten there, but his shot was looking very good. So
yeah, very. Let's see here. I had a couple more clips from the Wolves game for offense. Just to talk about what kinds of things they're doing around the 2-man game. In particular, again, like you said, we're really paying attention to what they're doing with Cam. If you could get into the integrating Cam clip here. So this is
what play was that?
It's called I forgot to tell you, I added some highlighted in pink right before.
What does he do in this play? And then I'll bring it up.
He just sets a little back screen for Jokic to come off and get the ball, and then they go into, I believe it's a handoff with Jamal from there. But because of Cam's spacing, when he's in the middle of the floor when he sets the screen for Jokic. Okay, right here. Sets the screen for Jokic. So he's not getting the ball. He's just going up to be able to screen for Jamal, because the Wolves were trying to keep Jokic from even getting up to go set the screen for Jamal, right? So I'm just watching Cam on this particular play, and he's like, okay, let me hold off my guy. And he's trying to screen for Jamal here, and Jamal kind of takes it slow and then kind of waves Cam off. Then Cam's like, oh, Jokic is coming off. Let me set him a little screen. And then Cam goes to try to get out of the way. But because of where he was earlier, his defender just kind of hangs out in the paint, and there's no driving or rolling room. So Jamal goes for the outside shot. He makes it. that's all fine and dandy. But you'd also see a situation where if there's if this isn't late in a quarter, like we're just trying to like get possessions, get points on the board. Maybe Cam gets the ball there because his defender stays hanging out in the paint, and maybe Jamal gets Cam the ball to take that shot. But either like you have two outside shots available to you, basically two good outside shots from two good outside shooters.
I almost wondered if Cam was thinking he was going to turn around and set another screen for him for like a second, where he was like, oh, because he's almost walking straight towards the action. And
right. Yeah, that's a good point, because
like,
he had time. He had like a second where he could have already been getting out to behind the line after he sets that screen for Jokic. And then he's like, okay, what's happening now? Okay, I see what you mean.
But I don't know what he's thinking specifically. But yeah, it's a good point. And I like that they were just starting with like that Ram screen down low for getting him involved as a screener. I think it's cool just to get him reps.
I'm not even sure that was planned. I felt like he just kind of read like, oh, Jokic is going to come up and go set this screen for Jamal. Let me just screen for him real quick so he has just an extra step on that defender.
Especially if Jokic is starting that low. That's an easy thing to just read. Because if he's already up on the perimeter, he's going to do a pick and roll.
Exactly. Okay, and then the last thing was the DHO game, which was the other one that I added. Sorry, without telling you.
No, it's okay. I think I have it.
Yeah, I liked this possession because this was like a semi-transition type thing where, I mean, it starts so fast on this possession. Everyone just got down the floor. Cam's like, let me clear out. Jokic just tosses Jamal. Like I called it a DHO because like Jamal was already in motion when Jokic is handing him the ball. Or throwing him the ball. So everything's already in motion. Like they're trying to catch the defense off guard. The Wolves are kind of zoning up on this possession too. Jokic screens off his man, and then Jamal gets to go one-on-one with Rudy, and he hits this jumper, which was
he definitely had to.
His jumper from like I talked about Aaron's, but like Jamal's also just the 3-point shot and the midi has been very pure in the
the fact that I mean, we'll show some in the Raptors game that were incredible. Difficult shots, and I'm like not used to Jamal hitting those this early in a preseason game. So it's like if Jamal's gonna have his best season ever, whatever expectation you have for him, after 2 preseason games, he's on track. You know, I'm ready to overreact.
Okay, so let's talk about the defense, which was less fun to watch, substantially less fun to watch in that Wolves game than the offense was. I thought Jokic, honestly, in both games, not good defensively, like doing nothing to the point where, yes, there were tons of perimeter breakdowns, and I'm going to talk about that because I think that is concerning. Guys were getting into the paint at like with ease, and that's just a staple of the Timberwolves matchup against Denver over the last, year and a half now. Where they're able to drive in, they establish dribble penetration very easily with basically everyone. But on top of that, whenever the bigs got the ball, once that dribble penetration was there, and Jokic gets like he's like kind of stuck in nowhere land, no man's land. That's what it is. I'm like, nowhere land. That doesn't sound right. No man's land in pick and roll coverage. The big gets the ball after the ball handler, like, it's like, okay, I've frozen my defender, which is Jokic, and then gotten the big the ball. He's like not even trying to recover. On some of them, you're like, okay, he wasn't going to get back to the guy. But there were lots of them where I'm like, you could have at least tried there. Like, you had a chance, and he's just like, no. And like, I get it, it's preseason, but it's like, not fun to watch that.
I just kind of accepted it early. I'm like, it's going to be easy layups and a lot of open threes.
It was literally, like that Wolves game, they were getting like exclusively threes and layups. It was just threes and layups.
Yeah.
Like, we were not dictating anything to them on the defensive end. And Denver was like, their offense was humming, but they were at least like forcing us to take middies, right? Like, they were at least saying like, okay, let's force them to the middle of the floor and like see if they can make these jumpers. And Denver was making those jumpers, but like giving up threes and layups almost exclusively on the other end. So that's definitely concerning. We'll talk about the some of the differences in the Raptors game, but I think the main culprit really was just like dribble penetration because the Wolves were getting whatever they wanted. On first watch, I gotta say Cam Johnson's on-ball defense in particular very concerning. It didn't look as bad versus the Raptors, but that's also the Raptors. Like they don't have the same kind of personnel in terms of like first step and dribbling ability as the Wolves. Even like the Wolves were not like they were missing guys. Like Ant didn't even play. Mike Conley didn't play.
Yeah, but do you want to hear my cope around that?
Around the Wolves?
About the fact that the Wolves' good players didn't play?
Sure.
Because the better player you are in preseason, the less you're going to try. Because you're like going through the motions. You're like, whatever. The Wolves put in these young new guys they drafted who are amazing. They're like, I'm going to show the world that I'm amazing.
And they did.
And
they did.
And
just
if
that.
Ant played, they wouldn't have gotten a lead as big as they did. That's my...
They probably wouldn't have passed the ball as much if Ant
Yeah.
played. But if Mike Conley had also played, we'll see. I'm actually curious to see what Mike Conley looks like this year. I haven't watched the other Wolves preseason games. But, age is taking its toll. They're still very reliant on him because of the up and downness of Rob Dillingham. Although Bones Highland looked fantastic in that game versus Denver,
Yeah. I mean, I will say about the Wolves, I thought they were going to be possibly on the decline and not looking so great, especially if Mike Conley was getting older and all that. But it looks like they have enough like depth and young guys who still look good and they still look athletic, and they're not going to be like a pushover in the West.
No,
sadly.
yeah. They're like possibly the most athletic team in the league again.
Yeah.
So they're never an easy out. It's just like you got to play them into their worst tendencies, and Denver is just not interested in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so what I was saying before was on the first watch, like watching live, Cam stood out a lot. But when I went back and watched it, it's like, okay, it was only a few possessions that he was even like it wasn't even like he was being targeted. And so I'm actually curious to see what it looks like when a team tries to target Cam. Because his defense, I think there was like there's a question of like how much of a defensive upgrade is he actually from MPJ. I think they just do different things. But in terms of on ball, like they might be equally bad.
Maybe. I'm hoping Cam's still better on ball. I don't know. I don't even really remember a lot of those possessions.
Definitively better off ball. Like that is something that stood out in both games. Like on rewatch though, is that in terms of like being in the right position at the right time for help, he's much better at than MPJ. And then being able to recover out of that, also much better at than MPJ. The on ball stuff is where I'm like, I mean, he actually might be worse. Like there were instances where I'm like, I mean, he's more fleet of foot than the guy who's had 3 back surgeries, but like,
yeah, he does look like he moves better. He's a little smaller too.
It's a low bar,
but he did have that low man rotation. This is an off-ball thing, and he did get a block that could have been a foul. Maybe I didn't look at it too closely, but he did get a block on. Who was it? Gobert? I don't remember who he blocked, but it was a center or someone big. But we'll have to monitor the on-ball defense. He's definitely not like, you don't think of him as this perimeter stopper. He's a bigger guy. He's not going to be like a KCP archetype defender, and that's not why we got him at all. But I really hope he's not worse than MPJ on the ball. I don't think he will be. But I mean, and teams often didn't like just hunt Mike and get success out of it game to game to game. Like I think the Nuggets, they know how to like put people in the right positions on defense mostly because we're not the best defensive team. So,
right. It's one of those things where it's like out of necessity, they've in the past, at least not this past season, but before that, been able to scheme up things that could work. But I think it puts a lot of pressure on the point of attack. And that's what I want to get to next, because on rewatch, I thought of particularly the Wolves game. I thought Christian Brown looked very, very bad defensively at the point of attack. I was actually surprised on the rewatch because I didn't notice him as much watching live, because maybe it's just because like everyone looked kind of bad, and but a lot of the breakdowns on the perimeter were from him specifically. So let's get into just some of those examples, and then we'll talk a little bit about what improved in the Raptors game. So if you could look the Devo drive. So Dante DiVincenzo. Oh, this is the Bones Highland one. That's fine too. So Bones just quick give and go. Christian relaxes as soon as Bones gives up the ball, and then Bones is able to attack downhill, get that layup, and one layup, because like Jamal's like, oh shoot. Like,
yeah,
Jamal can see it, like reads that right away. He knows he's supposed to be the low man. He's in position, but it's just like, no, he's
you
too
can do
fast
your best
and
on
already
that one,
getting
but what are you
downhill
gonna do?
there. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
Bones
that was like,
so happy about that. God damn it.
That's a good way to attack. Christian is there trying to pressure Bones full court. And this is something that is a theme of the Denver Nuggets right now, trying to figure out how to deal with full court pressure on all these guys that are not used to bringing the ball up the floor. Right. So Bones, obviously a very experienced and skilled ball handler, able to attack that pressure right away and get the defender to, just kind of relax there. Yeah, that was a great play by Bones Vyacheslav. Absolutely. Very smart to be like, oh, I'll give up the ball. And then, but like Christian has to stay.
Yeah,
he relaxed immediately, and you could see it like visibly. Whole body was like, okay, good. I'm done on this possession, and then immediately he was probably immediately like, ah, shit,
Yeah, probably a lack of focus preseason. Also, you got to have that instinct, and you can study guys' tendencies. Obviously, Bones hasn't played enough to like do that, and it is preseason, so it's not necessarily what's going on here.
Bones is also on this team, though. Like Christian, they were on the team at the same time. They probably
for less than a season
together a ton.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, Bones didn't really initiate too much, and for him to like bring the ball up, pass it into a DHO.
That actually seems quickly, like something that he like learned to do more often in Denver, because it got him such easy points. As soon as you pass the ball to when it was Jokic, of course your defender's relaxed, right? So of course you can attack downhill and get a ton of space and momentum, more so than another situation. But now he's like, oh, I could just do this anywhere.
Yeah, you just got to develop more instincts on like knowing when that DHO might be coming after giving up the ball, and like how to position his body to then like, because I feel like he was already relaxed, and then he tried to just like ram through it and go Bears right there. Like, you're not going to have success doing that.
Yeah, man, those Rudy screens are still a pain in the ass for, it's not just us. Like, it's not just Denver that deals, like Rudy's a really, really good illegal screener, and it's tough for anybody to get around them at any point on the floor.
Yeah.
If you could bring up the DiVincenzo drive as well. Okay, so this is one where he's trying. This is another Rudy screen, as you can see, and he's like, "Okay, I'll try to go under," which is odd, because you'd think because it's DiVincenzo, like the scout would be to like go over there, but he doesn't. That's fine, whatever. He tries to go under, meet him on the other side, and now it's like, okay, now Jokic is in a pretty compromised position here.
He decided to go under too late.
Yes.
It was almost like he was like, maybe I can go over, and it was like, oh no, I can't.
Yeah. Not great. So like this is just like a carryover from last year, where it's like, okay, he started to get a little bit better at the screen navigation late, but it's still not like a strong suit for him. And it's one of those things where you're like, okay, well, Christian is kind of forced to play out of position, because he plays shooting guard, but he's not really a shooting guard, but somebody's got to guard guards, and it's got to be Christian, because we don't have other guys that are really equipped to guard those ones and twos on other teams. So that was not, a banner performance in terms of the point of attack. Let's get to a couple of the off-ball issues in that game. And it's something that I want to highlight because it actually has to do with one of Christian's strengths, at least coming into the league and through his first 2 years on the team. So if you could bring up the late, let's go to the late X out on, or let's go to the late corner closeout on DiVincenzo. We'll just do that one. So I forget what happened on this possession, but the ball makes its way to, is it Rudy that ends up swinging it to DiVincenzo, or is it?
Yeah, it's Rudy.
Yeah, it's Rudy who does that.
Rudy's like on a little, it's like just a little flash.
Right.
Off
So
of the drive.
Christian gets kind of lost because DiVincenzo relocates, and then, he gets this open corner three. The reason I want to point out this closeout is there were a lot of instances last season in particular where guys were very comfortable shooting over Christian's late contests. We know he doesn't, he's not like a long wingspan guy. He's usually not going to go in there and run in and block a corner three like Peyton, can. I do think, though, that there's a big difference in the way that Christian has been closing out over the last 2 years. Well, not 2 years, but last season and now going into the preseason compared to his first 2 years on the team. I'm going to go back to a quote from friend of the show, CT Fazio, who's also Christian Brown's #1 fan because he scouted the heck out of this kid and was like, this is the one for Denver. He said, quote, he's the best closeout defender in his class. Right? Because what he used to do in the first 2 years when he closed out, particularly to the corners, because the corners are closer than above the break, and you can really trap a guy there with the out of bounds lines being right where they are. He would get right up under the guy and prevent him from taking the shot in the first place. Whereas I feel like over the last season, there were so many instances, even late, because he's got the foot speed. We know Christian's fast. And those closeouts were such a huge strength of his that really stood out. They popped on the film his first 2 years on the team. So again, it wasn't about contesting oh, I'm late, I gotta go try to get a hand up to try to late contest this shot. It was, I need to go trap this guy in the corner and keep him from getting the shot off in the first place. It was the kind of thing that you would see from 3 or 4 different guys on OKC, right? So that there were multiple instances from that game, but I just chose the DiVincenzo one as the example. There was also one to Ingles, and I think there was a third one with DiVincenzo again, corner threes. And so I'm kind of wondering if Christian is changing his approach on those closeouts intentionally. It's not working. Or if it's just an effort thing. I also recognize that the types of closeouts that I know he was doing his first 2 years take more energy, effort, focus. You have to be a little less late than he was on, in these instances in this game. But there's also he's closing out short a lot more too. That was something that I started to see a lot last year. When you close out short, and you're late to get the hand up, and you're not a guy that has the ability a Peyton Watson to potentially block one of those shots, your contest isn't really going to do anything when you're talking about good corner shooters. So yeah, I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on Christian's closeout approach.
I wonder if it's
last year.
Positioning based in the first place.
Yeah. He
I don't know
loses
if that can help
DiVincenzo
him
because it's on a relocation. So maybe if
because he looks,
yeah,
he sees or I don't know, he looks briefly here, and then he just never looks back, and he's already relocated, and he doesn't even check. He still doesn't know when the pass happens. Oh, and I think maybe it's an overhelp situation.
Right, because
why is he going
is there.
over there?
So I was like, oh, is he trying to tag Rudy? But I'm like, Jokic is literally right there. So I don't know what. That was just a flub of a possession all
But also, yeah, that
around,
was like not even
right?
close to being a good contest. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's DiVincenzo right there. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's just got to focus. I'm hoping with focus, positioning, maybe. Hey, Jared Dudley's the new defensive coordinator, communicating a little bit more clearly what his role should be, getting the guys locked in together. That can be fixed. But I mean, I think what we need from him is screen navigating and better on ball D. And if I have to settle for him, his closeouts kind of being shitty,
Yeah.
I'll take it.
We
But
need somebody on this team besides Jamal, who honestly has looked like the best on-ball defender on the team through preseason, but we can't, but given his offensive load, like you can't expect that from him. We need somebody else to be a good on-ball defender. That's the thing, is like you can make excuses for a lot of guys like that not being their skill set, but it's like, well, we need somebody to be
that,
like the guy at this, right?
mhm.
Um, there was this graphic going around that I was trying to find before the show, but I couldn't. Where Christian was either second or third in terms of total minutes spent guarding the other team's best player last season, which that tracks. That makes sense, especially given the role that he stepped into as a starter in KCP's stead as like the main point of attack guy in the starting lineup, right? So in the course of trying to find this graphic, I found some other stats on Christian's matchups. He also topped B-ball indexes 1 year risers in terms of the biggest jumps in matchup difficulty last season. So like you made the biggest leap in who you were guarding, like the difficulty of who
Is
you were
that just because
guarding
he
over the
moved to
course
the
of a
starting
season.
unit?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
not just because he moved to the starting unit, but because he moved to the starting unit in the place of KCP, and that would have been one of, on the other graphic, the one that's just like total minutes spent guarding the other team's best player, like KCP was probably pretty high up there in previous years as well. But yeah, going from bench to starter, I think that we've acknowledged on this show that naturally you're going to see a decline in effectiveness defensively as those matchups get harder. And Christian looked fantastic defensively the first 2 seasons, right? Even on ball. But, he was facing usually like the second best guy, third best guy, sometimes the fourth. And doing it at lower volumes, he could put a lot more energy into those minutes that he did have, right? But he's no longer just an energy guy off the bench. He's more critical to, like I just said, we need somebody to be good on ball. Like he is critical to the on ball defense of this team now. And he's not just like an add-on, um, like he was in his first 2 years. I just think it's really important that the player who's assigned the toughest matchups can be good on the ball. Like that's just like an answer to the question of like, am I being too hard on Christian Braun? Because we talked about his defense all last season, and now we're getting into it again in the preseason. We're going to talk about like some of the ways he improved in the Raptors game, but in terms of like showing that he can be like a consistently high level, doesn't even have to be like an all defense caliber guy at this stuff, but you have to show that you can impact the best players on ball and like on a consistent basis. And I don't think that we have that yet. Obviously, I wouldn't even be mentioning this in a preseason in reference to a preseason game if Christian had had a better defensive season in his first year as a starter, right?
Yeah, well, people love pointing out to the first playoff loss to the Wolves in the title defense season where we had to take KCP out and put CB in because he was the best ant defender. And they love pointing to that as the example of that was more like when people were debating whether we should have let KCP go. Obviously, I think this season KCP is going to be even older. So let's say we kept KCP and this was the season we were starting CB instead.
I have a
This
question for
time was
you.
coming eventually.
I have a question for you. KCP, he is going to be older, like no question about it. Where would he rank in terms of on-ball defenders on this team at his current age?
Where would I rank him right now?
Yeah.
On his team?
No, if he was on
And,
the Nuggets right now.
I mean, I don't know. I'd have to see him play, but probably still the best.
Yeah, but that's the problem. And it's not that's not a comment on KCP. That's like we need a little bit more from these guys here. And I actually think Bruce has looked pretty good. Both on and off the ball, but more off the ball, but he's had some good stuff on the ball as well. In a way that kind of surprised me because I didn't think that Bruce was like Bruce is like this pesky, like he's like a guy you kind of throw in the mix to kind of mess stuff up.
Because a lot of it is.
So I'm kind of surprised to see him look as good on the ball as he has in the first 2 games. So that's something that I'll be monitoring as well. Yeah, Pop and Bruce might be our current best on ball defender, but we haven't seen it on volume, and it's only been a couple games. Like we'd have to see a little bit more of it. But I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing from Bruce. But you want Christian to be that guy. Like he's the starter. He's young. He's got the legs. All that stuff. So that's. Like, I don't think I'm being obviously I don't think that I'm being too hard on Christian, but I'm just kind of listing out the reasons that it's important that Christian gets a lot better on a consistent basis defensively than he's been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we were asking for that all last season as well. And we just weren't sure how it was going to work out. And I think a lot of the surprise around him being the starter was how effective he was on offense and just different aspects that he brought in terms of transition and rim finishing. But that archetypal or prototypical perimeter defender that you want, that's the role that we envision him in and that we need. So it's going to take some time.
Even if it's like, we wish we had another guy to do this, but like we don't, and we need you to do it. We need you to do it at a high level, right? And I think that's something that is going to be the case for a lot of players on this team where we talk about it a lot with Peyton, where it's like, look, like we know this isn't ideal for you, but we kind of the sort of promise of the way that this roster is constructed is like, we got a lot of guys that are supposed to be versatile, and we're going to need you guys to like fill some roles that you're not necessarily 100% comfortable filling at the beginning. And we're going to need you to execute them at a high level. Just to figure it out, because the roster is far from perfect, right? It has I think it has a lot of potential. You have all these guys that are trying to be ball handlers that aren't ball handlers too, right? It's just like that. Like everybody's going to have to make some sacrifices in terms of trying to get better at something that they're not great at. So with Christian, it's not defense, because I think he is or can be really good defensively, but like the specific defensive role that he's taking on, where he's got a lot of these assignments on small, quick, shifty guards. It's like, well, this is what happens when you want to play bigger. You've got your 6'6", shooting guard. He's gonna have to guard down some. Like that's the that's the trade-off there. I wanted to say, this was just in reference to Cam. We already talked about his off-ball defense. Okay, so let's talk about the Raptors game, because that one was more fun because it came in a win. A close win, an excitingly close win because of a surprise entrant into the game. Shouldn't have been a surprise entrant, I think, at the end of the game, for the Denver Nuggets to help clinch that win against the Toronto Raptors in Vancouver. First thing I want to say about Christian, I know he can be better, at least in spurts, on the ball, even specifically with screen navigation, because he was way better in the Raptors game at specifically those things, like way more invested at pressuring the ball handler, not just like full court, but like within the role of like half court point of attack defense for sure. And like sticking to that guy, even around screens. Now he wasn't facing Rudy Gobert screens or Jakob Poeltl screens because Poeltl didn't play in this game. But I thought it was just like way more, like there was visibly more, not intensity, but investment in getting those details right and playing with physicality on the defensive end. But again, it's about consistency at a starter with playing starter minutes over the course of a season. Christian also shot the hell out of the ball in this game. He only took, I think, 3 threes, but he hasn't missed from 3 in the preseason. 3 of them were without a thought, which was really nice. But there was one where he kind of hesitated a little bit and then ends up just turning the ball over against gap coverage. I think that watching how Peyton and Christian in particular are going to do against teams playing them with gap coverage when they are on the ball is going to be, I think, an important story, because those two guys, they have good, they can be good passers, but they're not like the most accurate passers. And I think they need to, if they face any like junky coverages when they're on the ball, can they make good decisions in those situations? But I loved seeing Christian shoot without hesitation and have the shots go in. But the shooting without hesitation for sure was nice to see.
He hit a lot of threes on like some pretty fun actions that involved multiple players, Jokic and Jamal, and just throwing it to the corner and him hitting a shot. Did you have a specific clip that you wanted to play for that? Because I could bring one up.
I didn't, because they didn't have the play-by-play clips up for this one, and I didn't have.
We have
Christian made threes.
He was wide open on this one.
That one,
so you want him to hit that?
That one didn't hit rim.
Yeah, just a weird pass by Pwat to drive and kick and twist his body backwards, but CB was wide open.
Lot. He makes that particular kind of pass a lot, which is interesting. I'm kind of worried about his back a little bit, but he's also skinny,
and he's tall, so he can jump up and pass over people.
Right,
Just gotta be careful.
Gotta be careful with those jump passes for sure. But for now, it's working out. It's good to see him have that vision. He could tell who was open. It was Christian, because teams are still playing way off of Christian. Like, all of these threes have been wide open. That's why it's important that he shoots them without hesitation, right? Will, how did Denver win a game in which they committed 31 turnovers? Lost the possession battle in terms of shot attempts by 30, and still managed to win the game overall.
Just had some amazing players making a lot of great offensive plays. Like Jamal was on, CB was on. You just keep up the pressure, and plus we had steals too. We had turnovers. Let's see here.
I think the Raptors only had 11 turnovers as a team. So, we lost the turnover battle by 20 and then lost the shots. That means it was probably, we gave up offensive rebounds too. So it was not a sound.
But we can just beat, as you know, the Nuggets can just beat teams with amazing offense. That's just how they are.
When they're as bad as the Raptors are, they absolutely can, because the Raptors shot 41% from the field in this game, including, this is a big part of it, less than 24% from 3 on 42 attempts. That's pretty high number of attempts for any team that isn't the Boston Celtics. There was no Aaron Gordon in this game. And my first note on it is, okay, Peyton is starting. I wonder who the backup power forward's going to be. Were you surprised to see that our backup power forward was just Jalen Pickett, basically? Or Pickett played, and so did Tim Hardaway Jr. We went with 4 guard lineups.
Yeah, there's been a lot of 4 guard lineups in these recent ones. Oh, hold on. I just want to bring up, because we have a comment from Court Talk with CT from his YouTube channel. So you all should go subscribe to that right now while he's in here. Did we speak about turnover problems just tuning in? We just kind of did lots of turnovers.
Yeah, the question was, how did we win a game with 31 turnovers? We'll talk a bit about it. It's kind of funny that we end up playing more guards and then had more turnovers in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look up we have the offensive rating. Was it really 144? That wouldn't be right, because the turnovers count in that too. No, it was 108. We did have a 143. We had a 147, 148 offensive rating with Cam Johnson on the floor in that game. So the starters were definitely cooking, for sure. Okay. So yeah, let's talk about the forward situation and just what they did with AG out. They said that it's just like a maintenance thing. Or that they said Aaron was quote unquote iffy, which I don't love to hear. I don't know what that means. What happened to him? We need him to be healthy this season.
But I'm
so I didn't
fine
love
for
that
just
word.
letting him rest if he needs it in the preseason, because
I
these
would have
games
just
don't matter. So
then just tell me it's for rest. Don't tell me Aaron is
can't
iffy.
you not do that? I don't know.
That's the
Is that like not allowed?
I mean, the
I don't know
Wolves
the
did
rules.
that. They were like, yeah, Ant is out for rest. Mike Conley is out for being old. And it's preseason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was that's what they decided to do with the starting lineup. I thought Peyton was really good in this game, just kind of overall. He was pretty good defensively in both games. I would like to see him deployed more as like kind of the role that Christian was or Bruce was in the title year, where they would come off the bench and it's like, you're going to be on the best guy. I just want to see more of that. It's the Raptors, so like he did get some reps on Brandon Ingram. And it's also preseason, so it's not like they were exclusively playing through Ingram, like they were trying to get some other guys involved. But I just want to see more reps of Peyton on the very best player. We know what Peyton's capable of defensively. It's always been about consistency for him as well. But he's got a little bit less pressure on him in that regard than Christian, obviously, because he's not going to be a starter. So I'd like to see him deployed as like I want to throw you in there and just kind of mess things up further and like make somebody's life hell kind of thing. I thought he had some good reps on Brandon Ingram on ball. I thought he was very active. Like he was one of the players that stood out in that Wolves game defensively because he was very active on the ball. Like he was actually trying to affect the ball handler when he was playing at the point of attack. He didn't necessarily force any turnovers, but it's just kind of like force the guy to pick up his dribble. Force him to make a decision that he doesn't want to make in that moment. And I've been, pleased with what I've seen from Peyton defensively. He also was rebounding pretty well, using his athleticism to, jump in for some of those boards. I wasn't paying attention to like the boxing out responsibilities, but that's like the other thing that you would be concerned about with Peyton playing more of the 4 this year, probably. But yeah, I just think he's done a really solid job overall in these first 2 games. They're also giving him some ball handling responsibilities as well.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Peyton specifically against the Wolves, but him and like Giannis were the 2 biggest like standouts to me in that game, and what I was most excited about coming out of the Wolves game.
Peyton gets in there and like had a good finish at the rim.
Yeah,
like
just
getting
transition
downhill
finishes, dunks, and you always like seeing a layup made by him than like a dunk sometimes. So that could be more exciting.
I was gonna say the dunk. I'm like, he didn't get that high off the ground, and he still went for the one-hander, which like annoys me
and
because
I'm like, why are you
I've seen them not go in so many times. It is preseason, so whatever. But it's the layups going in and like being. Like his balance does look better. He does look a bit stronger on some of these. I just it's just about consistency now.
Yeah.
As it always is for young players,
But yeah, so I was excited. I was like him playing on the bench, even if at the 4, if you have Giannis at the 5, who's like a more traditional big bruising center, and then kind of can offset some of Pwat's lack of size at the 4, possibly. And then his speed can help Giannis on the defensive end too. Like I always like that pairing. I was getting excited even off of 1 preseason game. Like, try to withhold some conclusions, but I couldn't help but get a little bit excited. And then, so for him to just keep putting games where he looks just more like a competent role player, which is all we need him to be. I would love him to be like the deployed.
He could be so impactful. It was just like competent role player just because his athletic tools are that, like, they do pop. Particularly the length, and when he has a running start, the jumping ability. Yeah. And like I said, like, he did have a lot of impactful, I think, on-ball reps.
And it's like,
yeah,
theoretically, at his peak, he could be the best on-ball defender on this team, even at his height. Because you don't
and the bar is pretty low.
Yeah.
Like, he could easily do that. And
like,
earn a lot of
hard.
minutes for himself, playing not just at the 4, which we need him at, but he could play a lot more minutes at the 2, at the 3, if he, continues to show that that ability too. Especially because our outs, like, behind Christian, our shooting guard room is like kind of iffy, because you have like Bruce playing point guard a lot, and then you're like, okay, we have Tim Hardaway Jr. and Julian, who are both like, I don't want those guys out there defending. We had Spencer Jones come in to play the 2 for a few minutes at the end of the half in the Timberwolves game. And he's actually, like, he moves his feet well, all that, but like the questions are like on the offense, and also like he's a two-way player. Maybe he earns a standard roster spot by the end of the year, but like he can't, as of right now, he couldn't play in the playoff rotation. So it's one of those things where it's like, if Payton could show himself to be as versatile as possible in that regard, and just give us some different options to deploy him, it would be, ideal. Jokic, not great in the Raptors game. He was very annoyed. Like, he's been throwing some lazy passes in preseason. He was really annoyed at the fronting that the Raptors were doing. Oftentimes just kind of took himself out of the play, which I actually don't mind. Him being like, okay, I'm being fronted, so I'm just going to kind of get out of the way and like use my, like, I don't know if he's even doing it intentionally or if he's just irritated. But let me get out of the way, and then it creates more space for other guys to attack when they have the ball. Like, I understand Vyacheslav, but obviously the offense is part of the equation for a shooting guard. Vyacheslav wanted Payton to play more of the 2 than the 4. I'm like, that's great. We're going to talk about the power forward situation, though, but it's clear that behind Payton, they don't trust anybody else to play the 4. They don't trust the 4s that we have, the forwards that we have to play power forward, and so that is why Payton is playing the 4.
Like, I was like, after one preseason game, am I going to just embrace Pwat at 4? I did not think that would ever happen.
And then there's 2. The reason I'm not embracing it at all. It's just like that is the situation the roster is in, and where the coaching staff is at with respect to how much they trust the other guys behind him. And we're going to talk about that, but that is like that deserves its own discussion. I thought Jamal looked incredible again. Could you bring up the quick fire threes clip?
Yes. Let me find that one.
He's been so quick with the trigger when defenders are going under on screens on him, which is I love to see it, right? I'd love to get to a point where Jamal is taking, I mean, some people are saying like 10 threes a game. I don't think Jamal takes enough shots to do that. 8 threes a game would be fantastic.
Yeah, especially with how he's shooting it right now.
Yeah.
He just looks great. I'm so excited for him.
And that is such a tough shot for a right-handed shooter going right. Has to twist his body to...
as soon as they kind of switch back, he just takes the shot, which
nothing but net.
Someone of his caliber with that good of a look should be able to knock it down. And he looked happy and in a groove.
Chills. And his shots are pure too. I hope all this great shooting for everybody keeps up after the season starts as well.
Well, Poppin
don't use everything in preseason, guys.
We're on the topic of 3-point volume, kind of talking about Jamal's 3-point volume, asking about, is it CB's job to increase his volume?
Yes, because it's not, for me, it's not about Christian taking more threes. It's about Christian hesitating on fewer threes. if that makes
There's going to be
sense.
times where he's just going to be open because of how the defense is playing. And I would love him to not hesitate and knock them down, just kind of like he was in the Raptors game.
Yeah. I don't care how many threes Christian takes per game. I do care how many threes he hesitates on per game. I would like that number to go down to less than one hesitation per game on those threes. Because when he hesitates, it like takes a long time and you're like, okay, the momentum's gone. Like, all right. Can you get to the shaking defenders for Jamal as well?
There was no clip linked for that.
Oh, there isn't. Okay, that's why it's in green. Sorry, guys. The NBA hadn't fully uploaded all of these play-by-play clips yet.
Yeah, the Raptors game was hard to get clips.
Do we have one for the two-man game?
Yes.
Yeah. So this one. So we love the Jokic Murray two-man game. So Jamal was dealing with a lot of pressure on this possession, and it felt like one of those like, okay, this is going to be a dead possession because we just can't get anything going. He gives up the ball to Jokic and gets the ball back.
Handoff,
and there's
screen.
Still, this is a different one. Okay, yeah. So this is really tight spacing on this. Like the 5 Raptors they're basically playing 2-on-5 on this
they
possession. They
were doing that
here.
A lot
like
in this game.
Well, that's probably why we had 31 turnovers. They here's my thing. If you could pause here, it does not matter to other teams whether you've got a good 3-point shooter, Cam, or a bad or like you don't trust them to even take the shot 3-point shooter like Christian. These defenders do not care. They are like, we must stop Jokic and Murray at all costs. That's why I don't care as much about a guy's 3-point percentage, but their willingness to take the shot and also their teammates' willingness to get them the ball. So this possession, you could even be like, well, Jamal could have just like given that to Cam, like literally
right there.
Right. But he's like, I'm going to try to get the ball to Jokic because Jokic does have a lane there, and that's like a guaranteed 2. Like Jokic could have taken this, and that's basically a guaranteed 2 where it is.
Yeah,
but those two
that's
guys,
a 70% look for Jokic right there.
And he's like, you know what? Let me. I thought that was going to be a layup too, but then he adjusts the shot to a pass, gets it to Christian in the corner, splashes.
You got to get Christian some reps. Jokic can make that shot in his sleep. Let's see Christian hit this. It was just like almost reminded me of KCP being there. That 2-man game with KCP right there. But it was Christian, and that was a beautiful shot. I mean, Christian's shot was on. Like, I mean, I hope it keeps up. I hope all of AG's shot, Jamal's shot, Christian's shot looks as good as it does right now throughout the whole season. Let me get the other one because there was a.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
This is probably the one you wanted originally, another 2-man game.
Oh yeah, so this is the one where Jamal's facing a ton of pressure, and then he just shoots over 3 defenders. I'm like, there's no way this goes in, and then doesn't even touch the rim.
It's the classic Jamal midi where you're like, there's no way, and then it does, and there was literally 3 guys on him, all contesting.
There's like literally no way.
It's a ridiculous shot.
It really is. And you're like, I can't abide by cheering on that shot selection, especially after that was a bad possession because they were like pressuring Jamal full court. It took forever to get the ball up. Like nobody was going up to come like, hey, I'll take the ball and I'll just bring it up either, which was part of David Adelman's comments post game was like, we were not spacing well full court. We weren't setting enough backcourt screens, et cetera, et cetera. I think that is definitely an area for the team to work on, not just for Jamal, obviously, but all the other guys that are sort of acting ball handlers on this team as well. But it's wonderful to have a guy on your team that can make that shot. And in addition to that, I just think Jamal is really him, Peyton, Bruce have been really, really noticeable on the defensive end. Very active, very
scrappy, handsy,
like staying with their guy, like not getting like their guys aren't getting open easily. If they make a shot over them, like it's a tough shot, that kind of thing. So I want to, commend those 3 players for that, because that was not consistent over the 2 games, especially that Wolves game, of course. But those 3, I think, have shown up in both of these games so far. And we really, if we want to be a team that sets that tone defensively, it has to be an every night thing. Like how many games did you watch the Oklahoma City Thunder last year and you were like, oh, they just don't have it defensively tonight? It's probably like you could count on one hand.
I can count on one hand how many Oklahoma City games that I watched.
You didn't hate watch? Yeah, it was very few games, and obviously, like they're not necessarily the bar that Denver needs to meet on that end of the floor. But I think that that's a really good bar for teams to look to if they want to call themselves a team that sets the tone defensively, right? All right, we talked about Cam. So, okay, let's talk about Bruce. Gave him some of his plaudits for the defense. Mad Dog says Jamal looked good. DA said conditioning needs to be sustained. Yes, they had practice today. The Nuggets had practice today, and DA made some comments about conditioning being a point of emphasis for practice today. And yeah, it's not something that you just come into the season with. You have to keep it up, obviously. And that makes sense that they're working on conditioning right now, because they played on, was it Monday? They played the Raptors, and they're not playing again until Sunday. So
yeah, this is a good time to keep the running going, and
just keep.
Thankfully, in the NBA season, you are playing every other day. So
thankfully,
Well, if you want to keep in shape,
right? It's hard to lose your conditioning during the season. You will very rarely have breaks this long outside of the All-Star break, of course. All right, let's talk about Bruce. I think he was pretty up and down offensively. He's bringing the ball up and initiating a lot. And he said, even after the Timberwolves game, like, oh yeah, like my body needs to get used to this again. It's a lot of toll on the body, which is what we talked about all last season whenever we talked about the various things that I don't think point guards, like in it, like pure ball handler, initiator, point guards get enough credit for. Is like, that's a hard job. That's why these guys get paid usually more than a minimum. We had Russell Westbrook doing it for a minimum last year, and that's like that's rare. If you're in a rotation as a point guard, you're probably making minimum taxpayer MLE, right? That's probably why Reggie Jackson got that. I don't know why he got the player option, but that's a separate story. And that's why point guards get paid the money that they do. Is it's hard, even just to do like the bare minimum thing, which is to get the ball up the floor, right? Lots of turnovers for everybody, especially in this game. But it's like, well, you're the point guard, you got to have fewer turnovers than you did. I think he had 1 assist to 4 turnovers, and it wasn't like a lot of like bad passes. It was like, I remember 2 where it was just against pressure. Like he had just crossed the half court line, and then the other guy, like the defender, just comes in and pokes the ball away and runs off the other way, which is not great. And that's going to be a story as the season goes on. It's like, who's going to be the backup point guard? And this isn't to say that Bruce, if the point guard role doesn't work out, won't be in the rotation. I think he absolutely will, regardless of this. But if we need another backup point guard, or if Jalen Pickett needs to step into that role, and he was not great even in that respect in this game either, to be clear, that changes what we can do with the rotation. I kind of miss what we get when Bruce gets to play with another ball handler, because he's such a great second side attacker within our system. And it's just like when people say like, we should play Jamal with a different ball handler so that he can operate off ball more. Like, I miss seeing that with Bruce too. So I would like to see more lineups where we get Jamal and Bruce together, both in the preseason and as the season, once the season starts.
I think we will. I mean, I think Jamal's going to be a stagger option a lot, and Bruce is going to be in there. Yeah,
for sure. I think that's definitely one of the looks that I expect to look good, whether Jokic is on the floor or not, particularly offensively look good. Just because, like, when you've got 2 ball handlers that do very different things, but in ways that complement each other. Like Jamal with his, he can initiate. He's a good outside shooter, and Bruce with the slashing and the cutting, and just like a good connective guy. Yeah, I'm looking forward to those looks. But defensively, like I said, Bruce has looked great. Honestly, he's generating steals, which is a really big deal after the Nuggets lost Russell Westbrook, who I think he was either first or second in steals per game last season. Which, I mean, he did start for a good chunk of games with AG out in particular, but he wasn't a full-time starter. But he was still generating, if not the most steals on the team, the second most steals on the team, probably behind Jokic. And that's a lot of steal production that I was kind of worried that Denver wasn't going to be replacing. But Bruce is like right there doing it and getting us some of those extra possessions. So I wanted to point out some of the ways that the Bruce is doing this. It's more about passing lane awareness. If you could bring up the first steal, I think this is from the Wolves game, because again, the Raptors they had not uploaded their stuff yet. Yeah, so here Bruce is just like, okay, let me tag and then be right there in the passing lane, initiates that fast break opportunity, and then Peyton almost
nice
flubs
touch.
it, but then he saves it. That's good to see, right?
Nice touch from Pwat.
Yeah. And then the very next... Oh, go ahead.
Just Bruce, just in case people want to see Bruce, like, this could burn you. You know, you got to be careful with someone who could make that play, but it's a little bit late of a pass from angles.
It's good on Jonas, because Bruce is like, okay, I'm going to go recover to my guy, but also play the passing lane, because Jonas gets back to the center. So that was good on Jonas to make it so that the center couldn't just get the ball there in that instance. So then Bruce was able to like half play the passing lane on the way back to the corner, but then he gets the ball. And then Bruce is right there again in transition.
Another
Bruce
one,
to Peyton again, right?
Just playing free safety out there in transition.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I liked...
and I love this finish from Peyton, too. Very controlled, right? It didn't...
Yeah, that was like the one that I was talking about, where it's like, I like seeing that more than like a big splashy dunk in transition. Just showing control, nice touch of the glass.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, Pwat, Bruce, and Val just make me so excited for a bench unit. Like, I don't even care who's filling out around them, whether it's THJ, Strawber. And if Jamal's especially staggering with them, it's going to look even better. So I'm pretty like positive on how the bench looks right now.
Even
aside
after the Raptors
from,
game. I mean, they actually did... The bench did not lose the game, which was good, you know? But they didn't look great. Like, this was one of those games where it was like, oh, Cam Johnson plus 23, and we won the game by 4.
I know, we needed a DaRon Holmes miracle 3 to seal the game. Or not miracle, he's a good shooter, I'm just saying.
No, but it was like, well, he literally comes into the game cold and immediately hits like 2 game sealing shots. I want to talk about Julian. I don't know if you have clips for this because, again, Raptors, thank you. But I thought Julian actually had some solid on-ball reps in this game in particular, but in the Wolves game, he at least didn't stand out negatively. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. is like a quick passer. Like, he makes very quick decisions on the ball in a way that is kind of deceptive. Sort of like KCP did. Like, you didn't rely on him to like initiate pick and roll necessarily, but when he came off a handoff with Jokic, he actually could make that pocket pass. He was a good connective passer. I think Tim Hardaway is a similar in that way, just like a quick connective passing veteran. But he's not shooting well. And he's also taking Tim Hardaway Jr. shots. And I wanted to know, has your view shifted at all over 2 preseason games over whether Julian has a shot at beating him out for minutes by the end of the season?
I don't think my opinion's changed yet. It's inconsistent from him. He did hit some threes, but I mean, I thought his closeouts were also horrible. Like, I thought
Julian?
Yeah, hit like in the first game against the Wolves, definitely was putting us in rotation.
Yeah, for sure. Like, just jumping out.
Yeah, just like just
getting
completely
blown by,
letting guys blowing by him and just really bad. Although, so that was probably my biggest concern with him. But his shot was, I mean, I didn't see every shot from him against the Raptors. I don't know what his like field goal percentage was, but he had
me either. It was just
threes.
like the on ball process. I liked his passes. He doesn't seem to be. I didn't love the scoring process in the Wolves game. I thought he threw himself on the floor too much. Sometimes got the call, sometimes didn't. But I thought in the Raptors game, he seemed to be a lot more intent on playing facilitator, and I liked him in that role, actually. And it just kind of reminded me of, like, you have been a big advocate of the point Julian experience since his rookie year. And I think that for the most part, we've seen like flashes of why that can be good. He also had some turnovers, definitely struggled against the pressure. He doesn't have like a quick first step that he can use, like, you know, like a Bones Highland can to sort of counterattack that pressure. And so that would be where you are most vulnerable, giving him that particular responsibility. But in terms of like once he crossed half court and got into it, I thought he was really good in semi-transition in particular, just like, okay, let me just attack the space that's being given to me, collapse the defense, kick out. He actually had one good assist to Tim Hardaway Jr. early on in this game doing just that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think I agree with you that I still have concerns about Julian getting minutes this year. Like, I just don't think he's going to be able to crack the rotation because, like, Tim Hardaway Jr., he's got some athletic pop that it's not just that Julian doesn't have, but that this team is like kind of lacking in a way. He's pretty fast. Like I said, he makes pretty quick decisions. I think it will manifest itself a little bit more during the season. And we haven't seen a lot of minutes of Tim playing with Jokic, and I think we need to see that. But there will definitely be some nights where it's like both of them are in the rotation because of like injuries or whatever it is. I am very scared of what the defense will look like on those nights.
But at least you have the option. Yeah. Like if THJ is dominating the rotation in that spot and he just doesn't have it on some night, he's not hitting shots or just whatever, and you play Straw there, see if he has some pop. Like we've done that before.
Yeah.
Even in like much more shallow rotation. And I like that. Like that's why I like having THJ. And I'm not saying THJ is definitively going to be better than Strawther all season long. Like Strawther has a chance to develop, but even if that was the case, I like having Strawther behind him. And I like when Julian gets in rhythm, he looks really smooth on offense. It's just a matter of being consistent more often on the defensive end, I would hope. Because I did pull up this, little three from Strawther. It's a typical Strawther three we're used to him seeing where he's off ball.
I did not think that was going to go in. Like that contest was... It's a late contest, but I thought it was like as far as late contests go, like as good as it gets without blocking the ball, and then it just swished right in.
And you needed a quick release on that, especially on that contest, and that's what Julian can do. And then I know you were going to bring this up, but the crazy floater that he had.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about this. I blocked it out.
Yeah, it's a.
Oh no, this is the one that went in. Okay, no, this was good.
Yeah, Julian's on. I thought you blacked it out because you were so afraid like that was going to be an ugly shot and it somehow went in. But it's a good, on-ball rep. He has to drive into the key and hit a floater over a defender, which it was like very out of rhythm almost. He almost got, like the actual release was bothered by the defender and he still got it off with a kind of like hesitation midair and still made it. And the floater has been a shot that Julian's always said he can rely on, but he's even missed ones where he's just kind of like wide open driving in the lane and it just doesn't hit. So for him to like make that with a guy in his face, I thought was a good sign, and I hope that shot can be reliable for him.
Yeah, I think I need to see more consistency with that floater because it hasn't really been over the first 2 years, even though it was kind of one of his go-to shots, throughout college. Even though he was known as a 3-point shooter, that was definitely one that he got to a lot as he was chased off the line. I do think that Julian is a better DHO guy than Tim Hardaway Jr., which is why I kind of like prefer the look of Julian with Jonas than Tim Hardaway Jr. in those minutes. But we're probably like once the season actually starts, I don't think we're gonna get both of them in the rotation unless somebody's injured. So yeah, it's definitely a good problem to have. Which is what everybody says until it's a problem you can't solve. Vyacheslav said it's nice to have competition for a change. I agree. I completely agree. But let's talk about one guy who I think is has maybe too much competition that isn't really competition. Will, why is DaRon Holmes not playing more?
Yeah, that was my question as well. Because I was so excited to see him. I'd been waiting forever since he tore his Achilles. I was so sad not to be able to watch him after I was so excited that he could solve our Zeke Naji problem and our backup 4 problem. Maybe even backup center problem because we didn't have Val at the time. But yeah, he didn't come in till really, I don't even know if he didn't get into the fourth quarter.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the game.
And that was
4 minutes left in the game.
I don't know if it's managing his injury kind of thing and just being like, hey, let's not rush you back to true NBA action. Like, not push it too much or what?
They had the G League guys. It's the Raptors, and it's like the G League guys by the end of that, like the last 8 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
Let's put up the shots, and then we'll go to the extended conversation about the power forward room. Because I want to start positively, because we saw some good stuff from DaRon in this game. He is shooting very confidently. He actually made another shot versus the Wolves late in that game too, which that's like a game that doesn't matter. But that ball almost gets stolen. DaRon recovers it, and then he takes a shot with 12 seconds left on the clock, and you're up. So I was kind of like, DaRon, you don't have to shoot yet. You can just hold. You can pass to is that Curtis Jones over there? I think that's
number
Curtis,
one.
Number one, who's like, I'm open. Because that guy tried to go steal the ball, so I was wide open. But he's like, oh yeah, I'll just take the shot. Very excited. Glad it went in. That one was great. He also made one a couple minutes earlier than that. I think he made the only threes that Denver made in that fourth quarter. He made two. He made those two. I thought he looked pretty good on defense. Like, look, the level of competition is, like I said, G League guys from the Raptors. In preseason garbage time. But I thought that he was pretty good at using his length to bracket ball handlers in pick and roll. He didn't play too far back because he has a little bit more athleticism than our other bigs, to where he trusts himself to recover. But he didn't have to recover because these ball handlers are not that good. So he was just able to use his length to help bracket them and just make things uncomfortable in pick and roll. I think he didn't get credit for a steal, but it was because he was right there that this passing lane was completely smothered, and he's the one that recovers the ball after it gets poked out from the ball handler's hands toward the end of that game. So that was another important defensive play in this game. But then he only ends up playing the last 4 minutes, like I said. I was like, he's got to be injured. What's going on here? Because who played in a game that Aaron Gordon was out? Here's who played before DaRon did. Spencer Jones, unsurprising given how much it seems like the coaching staff really like him. And, they used him to sub it as a late sub for Christian late in the Wolves game too. It seems like he's in their good graces. He played before DaRon. Zeke Naji played before DaRon. Hunter Tyson played before DaRon. Hunter Tyson actually played 3 times as many minutes as DaRon did in this game. He played the entire fourth quarter. So he played 12 minutes straight. And Zeke, by the way, neither Zeke nor Hunter, and obviously not DaRon, got any first half minutes in a game that Aaron Gordon was out and Peyton Watson started. And so instead of playing a forward, they ended up playing 4 guards in a lineup with Jonas. So it was Bruce, Pickett, Tim, and Julian with Jonas. And I was just like, why are we... It's preseason, right? This isn't a game that you're like desperate to win. I guess they were worried about the turnovers, so they bring Pickett in. But then it's like, can we really not figure out a way to get... Like, if it were Zeke, I wouldn't be surprised because, like, he's a fifth-year player.
Yeah, you're not... Well, I don't know.
He's going into his sixth year. He's about to be a sixth-year player. Okay? Ahead of DaRon, like, whatever. But he didn't even play.
Yeah.
And that tells me that the coaching staff does not trust Zeke or DaRon to play, period. Not to play the 5, but to play, period. Because we're talking about someone to play next to Jonas at the 4 spot. In a game where...
Yeah, and they've been going with Pwat, where
we
people
were missing our starting power
that.
forward. That's the thing, is like, if there was ever an opportunity to like give guys you don't necessarily trust reps, but they're the only guys you have at that position group, this would have been it.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't see that. And that is concerning to me in that context, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what the team's rationale is behind not playing him till then, or why they would be holding back, whether it's lack of trust, whether it is just trying to make him earn the minutes. Maybe it is trying to prioritize Pwat's development over his, because if Pwat pops, probably benefits our team more than if DaRon would.
But like, Peyton started in this game. There were minutes available for a forward to play backup minutes in that first half, and that did not happen. Right?
Yeah, that is strange. I don't know what it is, but I don't know how. Besides his shot, how's he looking? Like, he was a little more stiff. Thing is,
like, I don't know. We haven't, like, yeah, he looks slow. He's also playing against, like, maybe he looks way worse when he plays against good NBA competition. We don't know because we haven't seen it. And it's this is not me asking for this to happen in the regular season. Like, there were a lot of people that were like up in arms because like Hunter Tyson and Jalen Pickett weren't getting like real reps during the regular season when they're trying to win games. I'm talking about a preseason game, and I'm talking about a player who they traded draft capital to move up to draft in the first round. And then they've got, like, they should be invested in this player, right? At a position of need, right? This isn't a situation where it's like, oh, well, we have all these other forwards. It's just that like stuck out to me because it was a very weird situation.
Yeah,
right?
I was very frustrated because after Cam and Val, Holmes was the guy I was most excited to see, because I feel like a lot of like the answers I've been giving about like what rotation would you use for this and this and this, I'm like putting Holmes in because I don't know who else to put in and just hoping that he's gonna work out. But so far it doesn't seem.
It's just like the DaRon thing annoys me, but then it's like, okay, well, if you don't trust Zeke, then you should probably be trying to figure out what you've got in this rookie. But they're not doing that. And that's concerning to me, because it's like, all right, coaches, they're basically doing the thing that people have been accusing Michael Malone of doing by playing 4-guard lineups when we desperately need size out there. Like, look, it's a preseason game, but that's also why it's like an opportunity to try out some things that maybe you don't fully trust. It's 2 games in. Maybe they just wanted to catch some different looks out there. It's not like it's going to be the only opportunity where like Aaron is out. I don't expect the starters to play the last game or maybe the last 2 games of the preseason. So
I'm hoping it's just an early preseason
there will be minutes
thing
available, but it's like, okay, now this is a thing that's on my radar as like, not just because it wasn't like DaRon didn't play until the last 4 minutes, but because Zeke didn't play at all, like during like the time that like the rotation players were playing, which was in this game, they played the first half and like half of the third quarter. And Zeke didn't get in until like the tail end of that third quarter. Again, in a game where we only had one forward. It was Peyton. Like, it was Peyton and Cam. That was the forward depth. And then it was just all guards and the centers around that. So, It's just like something to note now as a point that seems like, okay, this is clearly a position group that the coaching staff doesn't trust. And does that mean that we're going to have to make a move at the deadline? Because we're not going to the playoffs with 4 guard lineups. We're not doing that. Okay. Especially not when the guards are Tim Hardaway Jr. and Julian Strawther, like 2 of them. Right. So they need to figure that out. And it's on my radar, and it's going to be really annoying until it seems like something has changed on that front.
Yeah, I'm really hoping. I mean, it's all speculation right now. I have no idea why they're doing it, and there's plenty of more preseason games for him to get more minutes. I hope it increases. But yeah, his shot was looking good. I just wanted to pull up the shot
from
the Wolves game that I didn't show yet. He does have a strange kind of shooting motion.
It's
his
a
arm
weird shot. Like, I don't love it. I said this during Summer League. I don't love the shot mechanics and the way that they've changed, but the shots are going in. So
yeah,
as long as he's comfortable and the shots are going in, I don't really care.
Yeah, and I mean, I would love to see. I don't know. Maybe it's a mental thing with coming back from the Achilles. Like that's trippy to get and like trust the explosiveness of your body after that happens. And I have no idea what DaRon feels, but best case scenario is they're like working with him to ease him back in and like build his confidence, something along those lines.
Blah, blah, blah. But they're not playing Zeke either. So it's like,
we know why.
Well, yeah, so much for clean slate and whatever. 3 more years on that contract, by the way. All right. Let's move on to... Oh, before we move on, I wanted to show one more great thing about DaRon from this Raptors game. If you could actually pull up the Kessler Edwards blocks that basically sealed the game. There's 2 consecutive blocks on the same possession to keep the not sealed the game, but gave Denver another opportunity to kind of push their lead after DaRon, I think, gave them the lead with the 3 that preceded this. So I want you to watch DaRon on these possessions, because I think that he is playing pretty, like, obviously he should be dominating this competition because these are guys that should not be literally in his league, unless he will probably be spending some time in the G League this year. He's very physical with the big, keeps him out of the play from the beginning, like pushes him forward, and then he ends up boxing out the other big. So he's got the guy he's guarding, then he passes that guy off to Curtis, then he's on the other big while the ball handler's driving, and then he keeps the big out of the play to make it so that he can't receive the ball. And then, they don't get the defensive rebound. So he's like, I need to make sure I box this guy out. And then
he's
he
able to grab
retrieves the ball. Right?
Beautiful.
Love to see all of that. Right?
And the explosiveness of Kessler Edwards on that play was crazy.
Gosh, insane. I'm like, whoa, that dude probably has the highest vert currently on the team, because he's only on a training camp deal. He's probably going to get signed by somebody else or the Nuggets G League team, because that's all we have right now available besides a standard roster spot.
That's a good example, though, of DaRon showing some of his physicality. Like, I feel like he hasn't had a lot of chances to showcase that yet, because it's a lot of his 3-point shooting.
And this is inferior competition,
nature.
to be clear. Like, he won't necessarily look like that against NBA bigs, but I would like to see if he could.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Kessler Edwards, that explosive spark from him there with the double block, like showing the effort and showing the explosiveness. I was like, I almost forgot about him, and I couldn't, like, I'm still getting used to seeing the players' numbers and all that. I'm like, what numbers? Who? And like that guy, like Kessler made that play. I was like, holy shit, that came out of nowhere almost, but that was exciting. I hope it's not a J-Huff situation where he goes to another team and looks amazing, and then we're all cursing Adelman and
there's nothing that
Ben Wallace.
Yeah, there's nothing Adelman can do. They have to sign him. He's not he's not actually on the roster right now. He's got a training camp deal. Let's let's see. All right, so let's move on to basically just like the almost midway point of preseason. What questions do we have remaining based on what we've seen? What do we want to see going forward? I think Jamal just has to play with the bench. Like the fact that Bruce is not like he can't really be like that main guy as the ball handler. Um, Not just because of the shot creation, but literally just getting like being responsible to get the ball up the floor every time down or almost every time down because they are splitting responsibilities a bit, but it's still like mainly on Bruce. Is a problem. And the offense, even once they get into the half court, doesn't look amazing. Like it's clear they have more intent than ever before because they have a center who can screen, they have a center who can act as a hub. Jonas turned the ball over a few times against the Raptors in ways that were annoying and maybe indicative of how the league is going to be guarding these big skilled centers out on the perimeter when they try to act as hubs now. It's a lot of pawing at them and the ball. But the fact that Jamal has to stagger with the bench, I think does limit Denver in some ways. Is there anything in particular that concerns you about the fact that they have to stagger Jamal? Probably, unless you disagree with that.
I mean, I think like, yeah, obviously right now you look at it and that seems to be the most reliable like solution to a lot of the questions with the bench because we don't have like the de facto ball handler, like rim pressuring guy that besides Jamal, like Bruce, is not going to be the answer necessarily, though he can do those things in flashes. He's not completely incapable of providing a backup point guard look. But you just need somebody to be able to like initiate on the bench. And I was excited for Cam to stagger as well, just because I wanted to take some pressure off Jamal. And I do think there's potential there. I liked
they could stagger both.
Yeah, they could stagger both. Sure, they can go for
still
that.
Haven't we don't have a sample at all from preseason of a starter with the bench because they've been doing hockey substitutions, and so it might look better with Cam there. Like he's actually been okay, like bringing the ball up the floor. Again, it's about the volume. Like if Cam's there, it's still going to be primarily on Bruce.
It would still surprise me for DA, who's talking about. I mean, I'm trying to think of specific quotes, but him being more open to trying out different lineups and rotations and things of that nature. If he just went to a Jamal stagger every time, when it's like we want to see more versatility with the bench and an identity, and we even have questions about.
Hang on. I think that those are two different questions because you can see a situation where versatility and identity are somewhat in opposition to each other. So the way you build up an identity is by like repetition over time and like doing the same thing over and over and working out those kinks with that same group of people, ideally, or like that's how I see an identity being built. When you're talking about so many other so many options for what you could put in there, I think changing one or two guys could change the identity dramatically, actually, just because of how different the skill sets are.
Yeah, but I think it's like early on, or at least right now for DA, who's new and he's installing new concepts, and theoretically the Nuggets depth is new. You got to like find what works. And if you're just like relying on a Jamal stagger, maybe you're not searching enough to find other solutions, because if a Cam stagger could be good with Bruce at PG, maybe that's something that we could do, and you're getting Jamal some rest and keeping him healthy. I do agree with Vyacheslav that like Maul being in shape and looking like he does now, like I'm excited for him to stagger with the bench because he's just going to cook second units, which would be amazing. But I do want to see other people get chances as well, and I want the starters to not be relied on so heavily all the time. But yeah, like I'm not upset if Jamal is going to be the stagger all the time. It's just you worry about like his minutes racking up and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think though, I understand what you're saying about trying to like you don't want to miss out on findings like combinations that work. But I think that coaches tend to the more conservative side and like that of that interpretation, which is I don't want to miss out on something working because I left it too soon.
Yeah, you do
Like
have
I
to.
went away from it too soon and didn't give it time to gel because it is a lot of new pieces that are trying to integrate with each other. Like there's it. I don't think it's an easy sort of. I don't think it's an easy answer because now you have so many options. Like it's an embarrassment of riches type of thing. Um, but I do think that eventually, and I don't mean like halfway through the season, ideally within the first month or two, you want to settle on some stuff just so that guys can like get a rhythm and like get rolling, within a certain set framework. That's the thing is like you look at teams like OKC, for example, like they somehow ended up a top 5 offense last season. A lot of that is Shea, but you watch their offense and you're like, this is not necessarily like the most cohesive whatever thing. Their defense, however, like it didn't matter who was on the floor, like they just like made things work and whatever. But Denver is a team that like offensively, like guys have to get a rhythm and like know each other's tendencies, where they're going to be, understand the plays fully in order to maximize themselves. And I think that's the difference with the ability to just sort of replace, like interchange pieces kind of on a whim, when you when you want to play around with things. Yeah.
And they've also emphasized wanting to get off to a really strong start. Like, and I think I get that too. You want to get
like, okay, well, once we find something that
seeding.
works, we kind of want to like keep that. That's probably the mentality is like, well, once we find something that works, we kind of probably want to like stick with it for a while. Right.
Yeah. Maybe it's something where they start trying to use different rotations in the middle of the season, like towards, when players are already getting annoyed and wanting a break, just to give them a break rather than trying to experiment too early and you can't like actually start putting wins together. Not that I think it'll be a huge issue. And I think Jamal with staggering with the bench is probably going to be the best look, like with Val and with Bruce. Like, I think that's going to be a great thing. But it's just, I don't want to have to, like you're saying, he's the de facto stagger all the time. Like that would definitely be a disappointment to me, just because I'd just be worried about that.
I mean, I'd be worried if like Jamal gets injured and then it's like, well, we're so dependent on that. If he like, I don't know, like small injury, like hamstring, ankle, like is out for like a week or two, and then we got to figure something. But then you're like, well, maybe that's an opportunity to find something else that works too. But I wouldn't say that I'd be disappointed by it. I'd be disappointed if it doesn't work like that. Like at this point, I think we're maybe a little bit too spoiled by the possibility of what this team can be at this point. Because if I told you 3 months ago that you'd be disappointed by Jamal staggering, even though the bench was working, you'd probably be like, what's wrong with like, let's say the bench is like winning their minutes. Which they're not yet, by the way, to be clear. Like they haven't. But they haven't been that bad overall in the first couple of games. It's really like the defense is like, ugh. But the offense has actually looked pretty good with Giannis on the floor, at least in these first halves. It's a little weird in the second halves because the rotations change. And we still haven't seen Giannis plus Jamal. So
I know, which I think is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty good too. So.
Do you want to say anything specifically about Val? We didn't necessarily go to him, but he
Val
was like
looked exactly like I kind of expected. Like the defense is like iffy. The offense, I think that he needs to play with somebody that plays a little bit slower. That's the other thing with like the Jamal fit, and this is in part what I meant to allude to with the Julian versus Tim Hardaway Jr. Julian plays like he doesn't play slow, but Tim plays really fast. And I feel like similar, but in like on a different scale, similar to the problem that the Russ Dario Saric pairing had. I feel like we need to like pair Jonas with the right initiator. Like the relationship between the point guard and the center is very important for the offense because those are the two that tend to be the most involved. They're going to be the most, they're going to touch the ball the most. They're going to be finishing those plays the most. And so I think that part of the problem hasn't just been the like lack of a backup center, but just like finding one that has good chemistry. All reports out of training camp is that Jamal and Jonas have great chemistry. So, but we haven't seen that in preseason because of the hockey substitutions that they're going with right now. We don't know what the final rotation is actually going to look like. What the rotation that the Nuggets are going to use to start the season is actually going to look like. But it's kind of like maybe they're just saving that look, like Jamal actually staggering for the season to start. But I kind of want to see what it looks like. Like I want to see I want to see the Jonas Jamal chemistry. But Jonas has been very skilled finisher. He's played very physical. I think the one thing that is still concerning is the defensive rebounding. He's a really good defensive rebounder, but especially in these like very small looks where he's playing with 3 or in last game 4 guards, nobody's boxing out. And so you've got like 3 or sometimes 4 players from the opposing team boxing Jonas out, and all the Nuggets have gone the other way or just like are out of the play. And so we have no chance at the ball.
Don't just rely on Jonas.
Yeah, you can't just rely on Jonas. That's
what
I've best about Jonas.
I think Nuggets fans are really excited about him just in these first 2 games, and especially the first one, showing his offensive skills, which we've talked about on this show. And like I said, he's going to show the biggest impact on offense, though. I do hope the defensive rebounding can be an asset, which I think will be. I don't think that one game's going to be representative, but I guess, something to look at. And he moved faster than I thought he was going to be. I just thought of him as like big, and the defense is iffy,
but I think if the guys at the point of attack get a little less leaky, there's been some good stuff too. Like, I don't think he has bad instincts. Like, if you have a big who has bad instincts too, you've just got no shot. Now, look, he's not the quickest guy out there, and he doesn't necessarily have like vertical presence at the rim, but he is big. I think he knows how to use his size. And that's the other thing you want to figure out with gaining like a chemistry with the bench is Jonas kind of learning the different point of attack tendencies of our various guys. So he knows how to position himself too in these different situations. Like it hasn't, the results haven't been great, but I actually don't think Jonas has looked as bad defensively as I thought he would look.
Like he got some blocks. He was moving.
Forced some misses at the rim for sure. Pushed guys out a little bit further.
Yeah, he looked physical.
Yeah, very physical player for sure. I think that Denver will have a much easier time attacking mismatches in those bench minutes than ever. And when I say easier time, like they'll have literally anything to go to versus mismatches.
Speaking of rebounding, just really quick, I wanted to show this one play. We didn't get to it. Where was that? It was like when Cam Johnson got an offensive rebound and then had a little step back dribble 3. You remember that one?
That was off an offensive rebound. Yeah, if you pull the clip, they don't show the rebound, so I didn't realize that it was off a board. But the step back, I think, should be. Was it in any of the Cam? The Cam.
Here we go.
Maybe Cam on ball.
Yeah, so it was Jamal shot a 3. Offensive rebound.
Hands it to Jamal, gets it back. Moves that guy way back with that. It was kind of like a jab step. I don't know if you'd call that jab step necessarily, but
that was Cam looking for the rebound specifically, and then
got the ball back to Jamal, and then was ready when he gets the ball back. And man, the net did not move. Those shots always kind of freak me out because I didn't think they went in.
It was a beautiful shot, beautiful play. Yeah. So it's not that he's gonna, if he does stagger with the bench, that I can't wait to see what he does. But just in terms of being worried about his rebounding in comparison to Mike. I don't know that he's going to get to Mike levels,
Yeah,
but I think he has the ability to do it if he so chooses.
I
And
think the thing with the rebounding is I think we have the guys to rebound, even though we're slightly smaller without Mike. The problem is the boxing out. Like,
yeah, you'd want
I worry about the boxing out, not because of like Mike in particular. They weren't boxing out last year either. I just think guys also need to box out in ways that are not necessarily happening outside of Jokic and Jonas right now.
Yeah, especially around Jonas and with the bench, it would be nice to secure those.
Yeah. Okay. Other things. What more do you want to see from the team before the season starts?
I mean, like we covered, like I want to see more DaRon Holmes.
Yeah, that's my number one thing, really, honestly, at this point. Because I know we're going to see more of I know I'm going to see more of Cam within the offense because they're going to be trying to integrate him and just work out all kinds of different things. Like, I trust that that's going to happen. I think I'm pretty sure we're going to see Jamal Jonas minutes off the bench, right? And as a result, we're going to see more of the no point guard minutes with Jokic, or like maybe Bruce is, playing point guard in those minutes. And we've gotten some of that in the preseason already. But the thing I don't know that we're going to see when the season starts is DaRon. So I would like to see more of him in the preseason for sure. Where is the double big look that we were promised?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's early. Maybe they don't want to just show that hand early. I don't know. They're doing the hockey sub, so they are doing the hockey subs,
to be fair. Yes. We might not see it in preseason at all, actually, as a result of maybe wanting to like save that look or whatever. I wonder if they've done it at all in training camp. Like, I'm so curious. I'm just curious. Like, I just want to see it. I'm just like, I want to know what they do. I want to know what they try to do defensively. I want to know what they try to do offensively.
Yeah. Would you rather try it in preseason just to like get them some reps together before the season?
Like, the whole idea of like hiding looks, how are you supposed to like figure them out and like get good at them if you don't get reps in?
Just in practice.
Yeah, so I want to see that. I want to see it in preseason and hopefully next game, because I'm not sure that Jokic is going to play the last two games at all. I have my favorite lineup that I would like to see. It's probably not going to happen before the season. I think we might not see it until the playoffs. Jamal, Bruce, Cam, AG, Jokic. So basically just Bruce in for Christian. That lineup could cook. Like,
they would cook, probably, yeah. That's like 23. That's a lineup you could have put in the championship season. So yeah,
that we have not seen. So there's just DaRon. Give us more DaRon.
And better perimeter defense if possible.
I mean, we'll see.
Which I doubt.
They did better in the Raptors game. All right. Yes. Well, anything else you want to point out before we sign off here today?
No, it was just fun to talk actual basketball and look at some clips. And Poppin brought up that he wants to see more threes from the team. I was a little disappointed at how poorly we shot, because we also kind of shot poorly at times in the playoffs, which caused us to be eliminated. Because it was probably one game, when we could have gone up 3-1 versus the Thunder if we had just shot better from three. But we shot better after in the Raptors game. And so, you want people to be proving that they can actually hit those shots. But I feel like CB did good at that. Jamal looked great. I'm not necessarily worried about Jokic needing to take threes in the preseason. Or AG for that matter. It's more about like the role players that I want to see. And even Pickett hit like a floater three. That was weird. So yeah, we've had some crazy shot making and some weird shots that were not going in.
Yeah, I think guys have shown that shots can go in. I think they were pretty hot last season. It's more like, well, will it last till the playoffs? I don't know. So I don't think nothing in preseason is necessarily going to change like Christian's shot reputation across the league necessarily.
At this
point. Let's see. Generational hater. Nuggets have 0 depth. They have 5 good starters, 4 awful rotation players, and everyone else should be in the G League. Okay.
We'll see.
4 awful rotation players.
I mean, Val is a good rotation player already.
Bruce is, I think, already a good rotation player too.
Yeah. So you already have 2 right there.
Maybe you're like, well, Tim's not doing anything. I think Julian looks better than last year, but the defense is still what it is. Whatever. Peyton, I think, has the ability to be a good rotation player as well. So, it's just about magic word consistency. Yeah, Poppin', 9 real guys. Well, Jokic told me we had 13 or 14 real guys, so.
And that's what he wanted. So. But yeah, I think it's despite the results and despite the defense, which is always going to be a question, especially in the preseason, I doubt we're going to ever put together a good game. I'm optimistic and I'm happy about how it's starting so far, mostly because of how Jamal looks. Yeah,
that has to be the biggest in terms of most impact on the course of the season. Jamal looking just the best that he's looked since maybe the bubble. At this point in the season has to be the biggest.
Yeah, I get it's 2 preseason games, but come on, he looks so good.
No, he looks good. He's moving so well, and he's focused, he's intent. It's all the good stuff. All right, well, for everybody in the chat, if you've made it this far, we appreciate you guys the most. If you do like our content, please remember to click the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on socials. All our links are in the description. And always remember that winning is fun and losing sucks. And that's why we only did this show after a preseason win.
Yeah, wait for the wins. Thanks all. See ya.